I'm a 34-year-old single mom to two amazing kids, my son, who's 8, and my daughter, who's 5. Life hasn't always been easy, but I've worked hard to build a stable, happy home for us. My brother, Daniel, is 37, married to Jessica, and they have 2 kids, a 10-year-old boy and a 7-year-old girl. On paper, Daniel's life is picture perfect. A 6-figure corporate job, a big house in the suburbs, and a stay-at-home wife who seems to have everything under control. But trust me, it's not as perfect as it looks. Daniel and I have never been close. Growing up, he was the golden child, the one who followed all the rules, got straight A's, and made my parents proud. Meanwhile, I was the rebellious one, the kid who questioned authority, made mistakes, and according to my parents, gave them gray hairs. Daniel loved to rub his success in my face, even back then. He was the kind of brother who'd get an A on a test and make sure to leave it where I'd see it, just to remind me how easy it was to be perfect. Our relationship didn't improve much as adults. Daniel's always had this superiority complex. He likes to pretend he's offering helpful advice, but it's always been a thinly veiled criticism of my choices. When I decided to become a freelance graphic designer, he told me it was a hobby job and asked if I'd thought about what kind of example I was setting for my kids. When my son took up dance instead of soccer, Daniel acted like I doomed him to a life of bullying. And don't even get me started on the time he asked if I was saving for therapy because my daughter's favorite color is black and not pink. That's just Daniel. The most recent family gathering is where things really started to spiral. It was a backyard BBQ at our parents' house, a rare occasion where everyone showed up. My kids were running around with their cousins, laughing and having a great time. But of course, Daniel had to make a comment. Loud enough for everyone to hear, he said something about how I let my kids run wild, and how it's no surprise they never listen to anyone. I laughed it off at the moment because I've learned not to let him get under my skin, but I could feel the judgment from Jessica's side eye as she sat there, probably mentally comparing my parenting to her color-coded chore charts and screen time schedules. Daniel and Jessica are the definition of helicopter parents. Their kids aren't allowed to eat sugar, stay up past 7:30, or watch anything that isn't educational. Jessica is always posting these Pinterest-worthy pictures of their family game nights or homemade science projects, but their kids always look tired. It's like they're being raised in a pressure cooker. Meanwhile, Daniel acts like being a dad is a side hustle. He works long hours and spends most of his time at family events scrolling on his phone, only stepping in to bark orders or criticize someone else. About a week after the BBQ, my mom called me, clearly uncomfortable. She told me she'd heard from some extended family members that Daniel had been saying some pretty nasty things about me. Apparently, he'd been telling people I'm unfit to be a parent because I'm too lenient and that my unstable lifestyle is going to ruin my kids. He even hinted that someone should call Child Protective Services to step in before it's too late. I was stunned. It's one thing to criticize me to my face, but to go behind my back and say things like that, to involve CPS, that's a whole new level of betrayal. A few days later, my worst fear came true. There was a knock at my door, and standing there were 2 CPS workers. They said they'd received an anonymous report about unsafe living conditions and neglect. My heart was racing, but I let them in. They were polite but thorough, asking questions about everything from my kids' diet to their sleeping arrangements. They even spoke to my son and daughter, who, bless them, were confused but cooperative. After about an hour, the workers told me everything looked fine and they'd be closing the case. Still, the experience left me shaken. At the next family event, I decided to confront Daniel. I didn't accuse him outright,